News broadcasts ecstatic gathering of millions in Korea. It showcases a celebratory occasion with many of its citizens carrying the country's new flag. It was the year 2013 that North Korea came to dissolution and waved its white flag to the world. 2013 was a tipping point for the Korean peninsula. North Korea went through a transfer of power and South Korea elected new president. Soon after, the new leaders faced political standstill. However, as economic conditions deteriorated rapidly in North Korea and its effort to leverage nuclear threats to the world failed, North Korea presented willingness to talk unification as its new bargaining chip to alleviate itself from economic sanctions. After many rounds of negotiation between the divided Koreas, South and North emerged as a unified Hanguk in the year 2016 and put an end to more than 60 years of separation. After the unification, it dawned on me that I may like to visit Pyongyang. I came across the news that Pyongyang Residency, located in Pyeongchang, was looking for a new artist. I took a chance and applied. I am now back in Pyongyang. North Korea now houses established artist communities. The president of our foundation discussed recently that many genre has been supported and flourished in these communities following the unification. Artists that once belonged to Mansudae Art Studio faced great challenges as they no longer were asked to turn propaganda materials. Many returned to their original pursuit of realism and landscape. But young artists gradually introduced new vision, which subsequently led to well-developed movements. I was asked by the foundation to teach and to guide these budding artists in their efforts. This residency comprises of artists like me who returned to Pyongyang to overcome painful memories of their past in North Korea, which has scarred them in many ways. We were initially careful sharing our stories, but after having become friendly, we're open to share our past and what brought us here. Let me take a break to explain what this video is really about. This is my attempt to introduce my stepfather's previous life and to understand the forgotten memories of mine. While Korean unification is a historical milestone, it also marked a personal one for me. I was actually born and raised in North Korea. As it has always been, North Korea was in the middle of Great Depression, and I witnessed more than millions dying of hunger. Well, my very own father and younger sibling did not escape this tragedy. Surviving mother, brother, and I spent days mourning their death, not even being able to afford a proper funeral for them. Soon after my father's death, the Communist Party summoned my mother. My mother had been known for her beauty, and the party thought a few days of mourning her husband was enough days off before starting her new patriotic career as an entertainer for foreign VIPs. This did afford my brother and I few bucks to avoid hunger, which restored some sense of hope in our household. But this did not last too long, and my brother soon adjourned to China to look for a job. Soon after my brother left, Mother also passed away. After obsessive research, I learned that she was forced to join an entertainment unit that comprised of beautiful widows handpicked by the Communist Party. They were certified nurses who not only cured actual illness, but also the hedonistic desire of those in power. My mother, of course, could not bear the shame and got hooked on ice, a drug that was considered to be a panacea of a sort. The cause of her death was known to be an OD. I tried to reach my brother to deliver this sad news, but was not able to get into touch with him. I was devastated, alone, and had nothing to lose. So I decided to follow a few village folks who were crossing Chinese border in desperation. After a few months of living as a fugitive, I was lucky to meet an activist whose kind help led me to an escape from China to America, where I sought asylum. My case was once again picked up by a social worker who brokered my adoption to an American family, and I was enrolled into an American middle school. My new parents provided me warmth, shelter, and food, and for the first time in my life, I felt fulfilled, hopeful, and happy. My stepfather, who saved and cared for me, passed away a year ago. Throughout our lives together, I learned that my stepfather was an ambassador who was stationed at various countries, including Korea. Subsequent to his death, I found a diary that was written during the time he stayed in North Korea for 2 weeks. This was not his first trip to North Korea. Previous to that, my stepfather attended Kim Il-sung's birthday celebration that was titled April Spring Festival in official capacity. Despite the fact that it was a propaganda show, he came back with a positive memory of adorable children's show, grand music of North Korea, as well as impeccable mask choreography. His diary contained vivid details of North Korea that I remembered and various accounts that occurred during his stay. I arrived in Pyongyang. The village we stay is called Munsu. The area that the embassy is located is relatively well kept and safe. North Korean citizens are strictly prohibited from entering. I brought a heavy winter jacket in anticipation of freezing cold. In this poverty-stricken nation, you're lucky to have any jacket to withstand this weather. January 12, 2014. Today is the second day of my arrival. Pyongyang boasts artificial scenery of what a capital city should look like rather than the real deal. It is as if the city is screaming, I may be a bit behind global standard, but it does not matter. We're proud of our leader. I tried to snap away with my camera phone, but was soon stopped by the police. I used my digital camera instead, but they demanded to take a look at it as well. I showed them the pictures I took, and the lady interpreter kindly told me, Sir, only beautiful please. Yesterday, together with the staff from German embassy, I was invited to a welcoming party prepared by the North Korean officials. We had dinner at Haedang Hwagwan, during which the officials proudly kept reminding us that this fancy dinner course ran more than $100 per head, when in fact it tasted like a $10 worth. I was surprised by bikini-clad ladies and Rolex-clad young gentlemen sipping on whiskey at the table next to me. It sure did not look like something you can afford, with little more than $3 that you earned as a regular North Korean worker. January 16, 2014. There are more than 25 embassies operating in Pyongyang, with the exception of Russia and China. However, all the communication channels between the foreigners are under strict monitoring. During the security clearance when I was moving into the ambassador's house, the security force took away one novel and one philosophy book. The novel was banned due to its cover that featured a man and a woman staring at each other, and the philosophy book of any kind was strictly prohibited. What I can enjoy here without any restriction is drinking beer. The beer is called Daedong River Beer. Tastes quite alright. I heard sad news today that few students took away their own lives. North Korean students are under fierce pressure to study competitively. They are forced to memorize many documents on communism that North Korea was founded upon, and then they discuss these documents during a 3-day tournament at the beginning of the semester. If a student who was randomly called upon fumbles, the student is sure to be frowned upon all the way till graduation. In fact, few students each year attempt to suicide as a result of having failed to perform well during this tournament. I'm guessing that today's sad news also has something to do with it. Lee, my interpreter, told me something rather strange today. I asked him, "Why don't you drink the water that I gave you?" I've been curious why North Koreans take extra caution in consuming their food. I observed for some time and concluded that North Koreans never drink a beverage given by another. Lee told me a story about his close colleague who was a physics teacher. After his retirement, he had been staying in China in a pretense to visit his cousin, but in fact this was a part of his guaranteed pension. While he was traveling back and forth between Pyongyang and Dandong, he took a sip of water offered by an elder couple in the train and was soon kidnapped. This is what Lee found out while tracing his colleague back and ever since then he never touches any handouts from strangers. When I opened my bottle of water, took a sip, and then offered to him, he finally took a sip himself. January 23rd, 2014. I finally came in touch with my wife, who I was not able to get hold of for a couple of days. The electricity became intermittently available after a severe snowstorm, and was told that the phones were not working for a few days. All I could do was patiently wait for the lines to come back, when the staff explained to me that while the great leader was not able to stop the storm himself, but in his generosity the weather will clear up soon enough. Before I was able to use the phone, I was given a strict warning message that I must abide by the 10 commandments of the great leader during my stay, which prohibits any judgment, let alone saying out loud the leader's name. I return to Seoul tomorrow. I attended an event showcasing children full of smiles, but this event rather made me think of a stark contrast, which is the reality that this poverty-stricken nation is full of hungry children. This made me very sad. My stepfather soon returned to the States, and after careful consideration with my stepmother, he decided to adopt me, a North Korean fugitive teen seeking asylum. Where my past was left behind. The great leader's statues have been replaced by plazas, apartments, and commercial buildings, and the city and its people are bustling, no longer overshadowed by deathly depression. In great contrast to 25 years ago, Pyongyang has been reborn with every corner of the city full of construction sites, busy urbanites, and billboards announcing summer sales and popular concerts just like any other major cities. I'm ambivalent in this city, full of life reminiscent of so many hurtful memories. As an individual, it is a daunting task to face this grand change brought by the unification. But the conversations with other resident artists reminded me that we're not alone in this pursuit to explore and to transform our past into a bright future in unified Hanguk art.